India got independence on the 15th of August 1947, after almost 200 years under the British rule. There were several people who stood against the British rule. But how many do you know? Thanks to the power of cinema, we have come to know about Bhagat Singh and Mangal Pandey. But there were so many freedom fighters whose tales of heroism have somehow gotten erased from the pages of Simbly Curious are dedicating this video to those hundreds and thousands of heroes who just didn't get their due. This is in no way a ranking video, but just 5 names from a big list to show how many people we have to thank for our freedom, how many people's sacrifices we need to acknowledge when we see the tricolor flying high. Number 5. Vanji. Popularly known as Vanji, he was an Indian Tamil independence activist. He is best remembered for having shot dead Ash, the district collector of Tirunelveli, who was also known as Collector Dorai in 1911. He shot Ash at point-blank range when Ash's train had stopped at the Maniyagi station. He committed suicide thereafter. The railway station has since been named Vanji Maniyagi. In his suicide note, he wrote, 3,000 Madrasis have taken a vow to kill George V as soon as he lands in our country. In order to make others know our intention, I, who am the least in the company, have done this deed this day. This rattled the Britishers. Number 4. VVS Ayer. Varahaneri Venkatesa Subramanya Ayer, a barrister who was fluent in Latin, English, French and Tamil, was a revolutionary. When he was practicing law in London, he met Veer Savarkar in the Indian House. Under Savarkar's influence, Ayer began to take an active role in the militant struggle for Indian independence. Apart from being the brain behind the murder of Ash, he motivated many to fight for Indian independence. His close aide was the great Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati and Aurobindo, who he met in Pondicherry. He also then wrote several short stories, books, and also translated Tirukural in English, apart from being the editor of the newspaper Desabhaktan or Patriot. He was arrested in 1921 on sedition charges and spent 9 months in prison. While in prison, Ayer wrote the book, A Study of Kamba Ramayana. Number 3. Tirot Singh. Tirot Singh, also known as U. Tirot Singh, was one of the pioneers of Northeast India who started war against the British. He opposed British rule in Khasi Hills, but unfortunately, his name is not mentioned in any history book. In fact, 90% of Indian people don't know his name as a great freedom fighter. He was one of the unsung northeastern heroes of India. But he opposed colonial rule at a time when people were not even aware of the consequences of British rule. He understood their motto and started war against them, which was named as Anglo-Khasi War. He was a brave and courageous leader of the Khasi people who fought against the powerful armed forces with some native weapons like swords, shields, sharp knives and bows and arrows. He kept them at bay for 4 years before he was finally captured in 1833. His death anniversary is commemorated every year as U. Tirot Singh Day and is a state holiday in Meghalaya. Number 2. Surya Sen. Master Da Surya Sen was the chief architect of the uprising against the Britishers in Chittagong. The uprising under his leadership was one of the most organized armed uprisings that India saw during the freedom struggle. Along with his colleagues Nirmal Sen, Loknath Bal, Ganesh Ghosh, Anand Singh, Ambika Chakravarti and 54 teenagers, Surya Sen simultaneously attacked British cantonment, armory, telegraph office, railway lines and European club on 18th April 1930. The aim of this revolutionary attack was to disable all the British resources and make Chittagong independent from the tyrant's supremacy. Even though the mission was successful, their goal to liberate Chittagong was short-lived. Though the British armory was filled with weapons, it didn't have any ammunition. Despite such misfortunes, Surya Sen and his team managed to strike terror in the hearts of the British soldiers and escaped to Jalalabad hills. Though Surya Sen evaded arrest and escaped from the eye of the British soldiers, he was finally captured on 1933 and hanged in 1934, but not before he was tortured mercilessly by the British for his doings. Number 1. Alluri Sitararama. Alluri Sitararama was an Indian revolutionary involved in the Indian independence movement. Raju led the Rampa rebellion of 1922-24, during which a band of tribal leaders and other sympathizers fought against the British Raj. He was referred to as Manyam Veerudu, hero of the jungles, by the local people. He wreaked havoc on the Britishers by mainly focusing on raiding police stations in and around his forest area, stealing guns and ammunition. He killed several British Army officers, including Scott Coward. But finally, he got caught in 1924 when he was just 26. He was tied to a tree and shot at. He is considered a legend in Andhra Pradesh. They also celebrate his birthday, the 4th of July, annually as a state festival. Do you know all the freedom fighters listed here? If you know of some freedom fighter whose life we need to know, please comment below with the description. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe to watch more interesting videos.